Hey, what's going on guys? In this video we're gonna learn how to pass data between fragments using the view model. So we're gonna build a simple task list like this one. For that we have to create a few fragments. One is gonna show details of our tasks and the other one is gonna contain the list by itself. So before we start we need to add a few dependencies to the build.gradle file. We're gonna use recycler view in this project. Also we need to add lifecycle extensions. And we also need to enable the data binding. Now let's change the main layout. We're gonna change the text view to the fragment container view. Let's give an ID container. Let's also change width and height to match parent. And remove the text. Now we need to create a few fragments. For that we can select the resource folder, right click, new, fragment, blank fragment. Let's call it TaskListFragment. Let's uncheck these two checkboxes and click finish. Now let's clean up the Java class file. So let's remove all the comments. Now we need to change the fragment layout. Let's add a layout tag. Let's change the text view to recycler view. And let's give an ID, recycler view. Now let's delete the text and add a layout manager. Linear layout manager. Now let's remove the comment. And also we need to add a padding, a 16 dp padding to the frame layout. Now let's create another fragment. Let's call it details fragment. Let's also uncheck these two checkboxes and click finish. Let's also remove all the comments. And now let's move to the fragment layout. Here we're gonna add a layout tag. Change the frame layout to linear layout. Let's change the orientation to vertical. And add margin about 21 dp. Now let's remove the text view and the comment. And let's create the text view. Let's give an ID. It's gonna be day. Let's change the text size to 12 sp. Text color is gonna be accent color. And text is gonna be Monday, just to see the changes in the preview window. Now let's add another text view. Let's give an ID task. Let's change the text size to 21 sp. And text color is gonna be black. And text is gonna be study sorting algorithms. Let's add another text view. Width is gonna be match parent, and height wrap content. ID is gonna be details. And let's also add a top margin about 12 dp. Now we need to create a recycler view item layout. Let's call it task list item. Let's add a layout tag. Let's add 16 dp top and bottom padding to the linear layout. Now we need a text view. Width is gonna be match parent, and height wrap content. Let's give an ID day. Let's add some text. Let's create namespace declaration. The text is gonna be Monday. Let's change the text color. It's gonna be accent color. And now let's have another text view here. Width match parent, height wrap content. ID is gonna be task. Text size 16 sp. And text color is gonna be black. The text, let's type study sorting algorithms. Now we need to create a data transfer object class. New Java class. Let's call it item. It's simply gonna have 3 private string fields: day, task, and details. Let's also create a constructor and getters for the class. Now we need to create a custom recycler view adapter class. New Java class. Let's name it recycler view adapter. This class is gonna to extend recycler view adapter. Now we need to create the view holder. It's gonna extend recycler view holder. Then let's add a constructor. And let's add a private variable, task list item binding. The constructor is gonna take one parameter, task list item binding. Let's pass the root view of the binding class to the superclass constructor. And now let's set the private binding variable value to binding. Now let's set the type argument and implement abstract methods in our adapter class. Let's create a list of items. Let's also create a public interface and name it on item click listener. It's gonna have an abstract method that takes two parameters, view and position. Now let's create a private variable on item click listener. And let's create a setter for the variable. We're also gonna create a method that returns the list item at the specified position. Let's call it getItemAt. It's gonna take one parameter, position, and it's gonna simply return the found item. In onCreateViewHolder method, we need to inflate our layout. Let's create layout inflator, from parent getContext. Now let's create task list item binding variable, data binding util, inflate. Let's pass our inflator here. The second parameter is gonna be our layout, the third one parent, and the last one false. Now let's create our view holder. And let's pass our binding variable. In onBindViewHolder method, we need to set values to our text views. So let's type holder, binding, day, set text, list, get position, get day, holder, binding, task, set text, list, get, position, get task. In getItemCount method, we're gonna return the list size. Now we need to implement onClickListener interface in our viewHolder class. View onClickListener. Now let's implement the onClick method. In the method, we are simply gonna call onClick method of our interface. The first parameter is gonna be view, and the second one is gonna take the adapter position of the item. Now let's link the onClick listener to the root view of the task list item layout. Get root, set onClick listener, and let's pass this as a parameter. Now let's create a view model, new, Java class, let's name it shared ViewModel. It's gonna extend ViewModel. Let's have a private variable here. It's gonna be a mutable live data. The type argument is gonna be item. Let's call it selected and instantiated. We're gonna have a couple of methods here. So public void set selected is gonna take item as a parameter, and let's set it to our mutable live data. Selected, set value, item. Let's create a getter for our live data as well. Now let's move to TaskListFragment. Let's create private variables. Fragment TaskList binding and details fragment. And let's instantiate it. In onCreateView, let's inflate the layout, binding, data binding util, inflate. Let's pass our inflator, and now our layout. The first parameter is going to be container, and the last one false. Now let's return the root view of the fragment layout. Now let's override on view created. Let's get an instance of our view model. New view model provider. Require activity. Get. And let's pass our shared view model class as a parameter. Now let's create a list of tasks. List. New array list. I've already prepared some tasks, so let's just copy it here. Now let's instantiate our adapter class. And pass the list to the constructor. Now let's add a constructor to our recycler view adapter. It's gonna take a list of items as a parameter. And now let's move back to our task list fragment. And let's set adapter to our recycler view. Let's set onItemClickListener. It's gonna take a lambda function. In the lambda function, let's type ViewModel set selected and pass selected item as a parameter, adapter, get item at, position. Now we need to get Fragment Layout Manager, so we can replace the fragment with the details fragment. Get parent Fragment Manager, begin transaction, replace. The first parameter is gonna be ID of our container, and the second one is gonna be the details fragment. Add to backstack, now, commit. Let's move to details fragment now. Let's create a private variable fragment details binding. In onCreateView, let's inflate the layout. Binding, data binding util, inflate. Let's pass inflator here. Now our layout. Container, and false. Now let's return the root view of the fragment layout. Let's override on view created. Let's get an instance of our shared view model. New view model provider. Require activity. Get. And let's pass our shared view model class as a parameter. Now we have to start observing our live data. Get selected. Observe. The first parameter is going to be view lifecycle owner, and the second one is going to be a lambda function. Inside of the lambda function, let's set values to our text use. Day, set text, item, get day, binding, task, set text, item, get task, and binding, details, set text, item, get details. Now let's move to main activity. In main activity, let's create a private variable TaskListFragment. Let's instantiate it. Now let's add the fragment to the fragment container. Get support fragment manager, begin transaction, add. Let's pass here our container. The second parameter is gonna be our fragment. Add to backstack, let's say task list. Commit. Now let's test it out. So that's it guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope the video is gonna be useful for someone, and if you like the video please subscribe to my channel, and see you next time. Bye.